Welcome to this discussion on how to use force and time to gain an advantage against your opponents. And what do I mean by force and time? Well, force is either the number of pieces you have on the board compared to your opponent. So if you have more pieces than your opponent, you have a larger force. But force can also be measured by how many pieces you have in a particular area of the board. So if you have more pieces on the king side attacking your opponent's king and all his pieces are on the queen side, you would have a larger force in that area. And that brings me to the next subject, time. If you get your pieces off the back rank faster than your opponent and into the game, then you will have an advantage of time, as you will be able to use that extra force to hopefully break through against your enemy's defenses. And so an example in this game to illustrate this, we will use the Scandinavian defense opening with e4, d5 captures, queen captures, and normally it is unwise to bring your queen out early in the game, as white may gain time and grow a larger force by attacking this queen. In this example, knight to c3, chasing the queen. And here, this game will be a bit exaggerated. The best moves will not be played in order to show you an example of how maybe a beginner would make mistakes in not being aware of how to use force and time and letting the opponent gain an advantage with force and time. And so the queen attacks white's king, but then a block with the bishop. Finally, black brings in a second piece. And so we're tied with two pieces developed on both sides. But now white turns the tables, chasing the queen. And the queen does not move to a good square. Ideally, it maybe should have moved to a5. But here, this allows white to gain time by attacking. And while black retreats, he's able to build up a bigger force to use in his attack. d4, attacking the queen. The queen must retreat again. And once again, the queen does not go to a good square. And this is an example of how to take advantage if your opponent makes mistakes in the placement of his pieces. Another attack, gaining momentum for white. And a beginner makes the mistake of checking when a better move would have been a retreat. And a further attack. And here, queen captures the pawn, but it leads to a trap. And so this is an example of how building up an extra force, which was gained by using time to chase your enemy's pieces and allow you to bring more pieces out. And here we see white has 4 pieces developed to black's 2 pieces. And this larger force was able to trap this queen. And the game may continue like this. Queen captures. If the queen is going to be captured, black may as well take at least some material with the queen. Recapture. And finally, black develops another piece, but he's still behind. Using an attack to gain more time on black, the knight moves forward, and white builds up a larger force into the center of the board and attacks the bishop, gaining more time. A retreat by the bishop, castling to bring in another piece, the rook, into the center. castling by black. But here, another example of force. We see that black has castled queenside, and he only has the rook and these pawns protecting and maybe the knight. But white has two knights bearing down on the queen side. A bishop, even though it is a long distance away, it still aims at the queen side, and so this can be counted in the use of force. Even if the piece is a distance away, it is still targeting the queen side. And so further play, attack of the knight, trying to gain time, trade of the pieces in the middle, and further gain of time, attacking this rook, a retreat, and here black just does not have enough defenders in the queen side, and white uses this advantage in force to break through, sacrificing the bishop. King captures, queen jumps into this attack on the queen side with with an advantage of time and building the force on the queen side. And the attack just continues. This extra amount of force directed at black's king is overwhelming, and black cannot stop this. The king is being slowly trapped, and checkmate is closer. Black tries to defend, but here we have two attackers against one defender, and it is just not enough. And checkmate. I hope you enjoyed this video on force and time and how it can be used to attack your opponent using faster development, the use of time, getting your pieces out quickly. If your opponent wastes time moving pieces more than once and you get more pieces, you would have a larger force to use against your opponent. And also, if you have more pieces in a particular area of the board, you can use that force that is larger in that section against your opponent. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have, please hit the like button and subscribe, and also please leave comments and suggestions. Thank you.